Guys, the November 8th general election is almost here, and I need to give you the information on where your candidates stand for the Minnesota House of Representatives. On one hand, you have a pro-gun champion, proven leader on Second Amendment issues, and on the other hand, you have a total communist. You're going to want to hear this. I'm Ben Dorr, Executive Director for Minnesota Gun Rights, and in your House District 54A, this is basically Shakopee. You have current Representative Eric Mortensen running for re-election, and I'm here to tell you the good news. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you support constitutional freedoms, you're going to like this. Eric Mortensen is the state's leading sponsor and advocate on virtually every pro-gun bill you can think of. He sponsored Stand Your Ground law. He sponsored constitutional carry law, and he sponsored the state's very first and only Second Amendment Preservation Act, which stops the federal government from forcing their federal tyranny on us in terms of their gun control. So great piece of pro-gun legislation. Of course, the Democrats have held control of the House for the entire time that Mortensen is there, has been there. So the bills haven't gone anywhere yet, but there's always 2023. On the other hand, he has promised and already stood against statewide gun registration and unconstitutional red flag gun confiscation laws. That's what they are. They're a total obliteration of due process. Everybody deserves due process. Doesn't matter what party you're a part of, doesn't matter what you believe. These are foundational principles of American jurisprudence, and Mortensen understands that and is a strong advocate against red flag gun confiscation laws and statewide gun registration. So this has been his history in the Minnesota legislature, and on top of that, he filled out his Minnesota gun rights candidate questionnaire for the upcoming year, promising to advocate viciously on behalf of Second Amendment freedoms. And we may end up with a Republican-controlled House when this is over, and we might have a good chance to push some pro-gun bills. So very exciting. That's the good news. Now for the bad news. The bad news is that Eric Mortensen's challenger is former state representative Brad Tabke, who lost his re-election to Eric Mortensen in 2020. Tabke thought that the people of Shakopee wanted communist-style gun control, so he voted in favor of red flag gun confiscation laws in 2019, and he voted in favor of statewide gun registration via the background checks system. So Tabke opposes Stand Your Ground law. He opposes constitutional carry. He opposes the Second Amendment Preservation Act, and has been a very proud socialist-leaning, communist-style Democrat in his time in the legislature, and has promised to be the exact same kind of person if he makes it back into the legislature. So what we have right now is Michael Bloomberg spending millions of dollars in our elections trying to buy politicians, buy lawmakers, buy our state politics. They're very excited about it. They very much want to hold on to the governor's mansion, hold on to the Minnesota House, and take control of the Minnesota Senate. And people like Brad Tabke are a key component to making sure that Bloomberg gets his wish. Tabke should apologize, considering the fact that in 2020 we watched Minneapolis burn to the ground. I know a lot of citizens of Shakopee and a lot of the surrounding areas, many members of Minnesota Gun Rights were contacting us. They were protecting their homes. They were protecting businesses, their friends' businesses with firearms. When the police were being told to stand down, when the police were screaming, defund the police, right? You remember the whole mantra, the entire rant. When that was happening, Brad Tabke was out there advocating for more gun control, not advocating on behalf of the Second Amendment, not advocating on behalf of the rights of citizens to defend and protect themselves, which was ground zero in Minnesota. So That's what we need. That's what we need is strong defense of the Second Amendment. So shame on Tabke for standing against the rights of Minnesota citizens. If you see Brad, tell him to apologize. Tell him to apologize for being a knucklehead, for being a commie, and for not supporting the rights of all Minnesotans to protect and defend themselves, especially when the police are being told they weren't allowed to. And if you see Eric Mortensen, thank him for standing against the crowd, against the radical left, against the rhinos on the right, and actually pushing for the laws that he thinks will make Minnesota better, safer, well protected, and more free. And when you go out on November 8th, vote pro-gun. Share this with everybody you know in Shakopee who loves the Second Amendment, who loves their constitutional freedoms. Let's win big in November. Take back our freedom, take back our independence, stop the radical left, and save the North Star State. Thanks, guys.